Ladies and gentlemen, it's our normal Thursday night now, guys. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this Thursday night edition, this combine edition of Believers Talk, as we get you ready now for the NFL draft. That's right, the road to the NFL draft has begun. The NFL combine taking place last week. From the on-field drills took place from last Thursday until Sunday. So now we're going to talk about a little bit. If you're with me yesterday, if you were with me earlier this week, we did talk a little bit about the NFL Combine and some of the players that the Buffalo Bills interviewed and all the things that we could be excited about as far as what we looked at the interview schedule and everything from that aspect of things. So now we want to look at it from the players themselves. How did they do? So I'm going to wait for you guys to get in here again, guys. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, guys, or if you've watched a few videos and you just haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button as the off season starts to heat up a little bit. We got some breaking news. We got some trades with other teams that started to go down. You better believe with the breaking news when it regards to our Buffalo Bills, you know I'm going to have you covered. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. After you hit that subscribe button, you want to make sure you hit that notification bell. Will notify you when we will be posting new content. So again, guys, thank you for joining me on this combine edition of Believers Talk. If you're joining me after we went live, be sure to leave a comment. Always enjoy you guys commenting on here. Really helps the stream go better. And also, I always enjoy talking to you guys and replying to any comments you have after the stream is over. Like I said, I do want to talk more about the NFL Combine today. Daniel comes in here. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Believers Talk. We're going to talk about the NFL Combine. We're going to break it down by day, right? Day one, you had your quarterbacks, your wide receivers, and your tight ends. And guys, I know you think that, the Bills shouldn't have been paying too close attention to the quarterbacks, but I might change your mind on that. I'm going to see what we can do to make you change your mind on why the Bills should have been paying attention to the quarterbacks during the NFL Combine. Day two, you had the running backs, offensive line, and special teams. You actually had a punter who had more reps than most of the tight ends and the offensive linemen of the previous 2 days. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Punter getting, 25 reps, I believe it was. We're talking about a team looking for a new punter. Hey guys, we're right here. Come join Buffalo. Come to Bills Mafia. We need it. We were not impressed with Corey Jorges last season. So to think about having a new punter, even if we draft in the 6th, 7th round, I'm not actually only 6th round. We don't have a 7th round pick. So in the 6th round, I'm not going to be too upset about it. If we want a good quality punter, if we want someone who's going to be here for a while, maybe that's somewhere we look. We look in the NFL draft, pick up a guy late, and see if he can be the guy the Bills are looking for. Punting special teams sometimes takes a big hit, but you need to understand the importance of special teams, changing field position, having consistency back there in the punt and kick returns. Listen, Andre Roberts might not have had the best season. We might have wanted to see him break 1 or 2 more punts, 1 or 2 more kick returns. But you know what else he didn't have? He didn't have any turnovers. And in fact, he was top 10 in the NFL in both punt return yard average and kick return yard average, the only player on special teams this season to do that. So you can't be too upset with him back there. Now, if we can get a good punter in the mix and be able to change field position when it matters most, I think that is a good thing. And then day 3, you had your defensive line and your linebackers going at the NFL Combine, giving you their workouts. And then day 4, you had your defensive backs. That was Sunday, and then that concluded the week. So we're going to talk about each individual day. Like I said, I'm going to break it down hopefully, and so we're going to talk about day 1 first, maybe some 15-20 minutes on day 1, 15-20 minutes on day 2, same thing with day 3, and then day 4, and then we'll wrap it up. You guys have any questions, of course, you can always leave it in the comment section. So that's how I think we are going to do things today. And of course, we start with day 1, right? Again, day 1 was between the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. That was on last Thursday. So the quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends did their on-field drills, and I'll tell you why I think the Buffalo Bills should have been paying attention when the quarterbacks were going for it at the NFL Combine. Listen, I think Josh Allen is our answer at quarterback. I really do. I think that he has some more to prove. I'm not willing to give him a contract extension or anything like that. I'm not willing to talk crazy like that. But I think that Josh Allen's going to continue to improve, and he is going to be our star for a long time to come. However, the Buffalo Bills are sitting there at 22. And so if you look at the quarterback position, we know that teams like to jump up in the first round of the NFL draft, especially for quarterbacks. Talk about getting that fifth-year option on a quarterback. Talk about getting a controlled salary with your quarterback, possibly your quarterback of the future for possibly 5 years. You want to take that, right? You want to take advantage of that if you can. So the Bills should not have been paying attention to the quarterback position for the Buffalo Bills. I'm not saying that at all. I think the Buffalo Bills have their quarterback, especially going into next season, if not beyond that. But what the Buffalo Bills should have been doing is paying attention to the quarterback position to find out if someone might jump up to pick up, let's say, a Jordan Love or Jacob Eason out of Washington. If they want to pick up those players, you want to make sure you set your draft pick, your draft value for that player at the right level. Because you're not just talking about trading picks for picks. You need to know what they're trading, or have an idea what they're trading up to get. Right? The draft capital you want and need. If someone's coming up to trade up for an offensive lineman, like we did last year in the second round to get Cody Ford, might not be as much if someone's trading up to get a quarterback. If someone's trading to get a quarterback, they might be willing to give up a little bit more. And the Bills need to know that sitting there at 22. When a guy like a Jordan Love, who's been a really hot name lately, or a Jacob Eason, or maybe even a Jake Fromm, are still on the board. So I hope that the Buffalo Bills did pay a little attention to that quarterback room, to the quarterbacks in the NFL Combine on day one. Hey, King Cam, how you doing? Daniel comes in and says the 6th round selection could have a hard time making the team. Using one of those picks on a punter might be a good idea as a position of need. Absolutely, listen. And the great thing about not having a 7th round pick, actually, and I'm sure a lot of people take advantage of this in fantasy drafts, right? If we give him in the 6th round, we're more than likely going to be the first team going after a punter. So we get the best punter that's available. Now, normally there's only 1 or 2 punters that go in the NFL draft anyway, but you know how you do it on those fantasy drafts, right? Fantasy draft, second to last round is when you'll pick up your defense, and then you hopefully get one of the better defenses. Although I think a lot of people will call onto that strategy and get defense a little early too. But still, that's what you do. You get your kicker in the second to last round, so you can get Gostkowski or someone like that instead of ending up with a whoever it might be. But so that's what we could do now. We have 3 6th round draft picks. Now I'm not saying we're gonna have all 3 by the end of the NFL draft, but we'll have 1, maybe 2 of those things. Spend it on a punter. No harm, no foul, right? So I look forward to that. King Cam, thank you for joining me on Billievers Talk. Guys, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button. Like this video, and let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Always love reading your comment. Rich G, how you doing? What up? Let's go Buffalo. Absolutely, guys. Let's go Buffalo Bills. I'm really excited for this time of year. I love the Combine. I love the Pro Days. And we're going to keep you covered right here up until the NFL Draft. Still not 100% sure what I'm going to be doing during draft weekend, but I'll let you know when that happens, and we'll have a good time. I can promise you that. Daniel Gary says Barkley is in the last year of his deal. I believe they could use a late round pick for a developing quarterback. That's always a possibility as well. Matt Barkley's not going to be on Buffalo forever. We do need a solid backup to back up Josh Allen. Maybe get a guy like a Cole McDonald out of Hawaii, something like that. Late round pick, Steven Montez out of Colorado, someone who might have some of the traits that Josh Allen does, that could come in and be a backup to Josh Allen in the case he gets hurt. Remember, Josh Allen might not have missed much time this past year, but he did get knocked out of that New England game with a concussion. So it is possible that he misses some time. 2 years ago, he missed time with that broken thumb. Now again, or the hurt hand, I don't know if it was broken or not, but he did definitely hurt his hand 2 seasons ago. Again, these are freak injuries, right? It's not like Chenault, who we'll talk about in this video a little bit, where it seems like they're reoccurring injuries. Freak accidents that happen, but when a freak accident happens, you want to have a guy who's backing up Josh Allen, who you can rely on, who you can give the full playbook to and say, you know what, buddy, we have complete faith in you to do the same exact things that Josh Allen could do. So I do hope that the Buffalo Bills at least consider picking up a late round draft pick, and then you have Matt Barkley there for a season to back up Josh Allen and to train this young guy who can even keep on the practice squad, and then when Matt Barkley leaves, bring in a young quarterback. But again, I think the quarterback, you want to look at that because you want to know the value of the quarterback position. That way you get better value of what your pick is at 22 if someone is trying to trade up. So that's what I want to say about the quarterbacks. But overall, again, yes, we know the Buffalo Bills are pretty set at the quarterback position, so we're not looking at quarterback that much. Then on day one, you had the wide receivers. This is probably the position group on day one that Buffalo Bills fans and even the front office were paying most attention to. We can highlight a couple here. Let me know in the comment section if there's a wide receiver or two that you want me to go over who I thought had a good day, who I thought had a bad day, who I thought left some on the table, left something to prove. Now, guys, if you ask me and if you've been following this channel, you know what my thing is with the Buffalo Bills wide receivers. I want size, right? I want guys, listen, we have enough guys under 6 feet tall. No offense to Jerry Judy 6'1". No offense to Henry Ruggs III, who I think is a great wide receiver. He's going to be a good wide receiver in the NFL. But 5'11", we have one of those. We have one of those. And yes, can you always use more playmakers? Absolutely. Never say no to a playmaker. If T. Higgins goes before Henry Ruggs in the first round and we end up with Henry Ruggs, am I going to be disappointed? Absolutely not. But I like the guys above 6 feet tall. We saw what Duke Williams did in that Houston Texans wildcard game. Again, made catches that on the team at the time, he was the only one who could make those catches. So we want to see more of that. So I look at CeeDee Lamb, I look at Jerry Jeudy, I look at T. Higgins sitting there at 6'4". These are the guys that interest me. And although T. Higgins is very interesting to me sitting there at 6'4", he disappointed me at the NFL Combine, not participating in the on-the-field drills. And then it's not so much they didn't participate. That's one thing. To not participate in the on-field drills, to me, that's one thing. That's not a problem. But to then say that the reason why you're not participating in the on-field drills is because you just got done playing the national championship game and you're resting, when you have guys from LSU and Clemson practicing all over all week long, that's not good enough. Someone should have done a better job coming up with an excuse for CeeDee Lamb, for T. Higgins to not participate in the NFL Combine. To me, that's just not a good enough excuse. So I did not like hearing that from T. Higgins, whether it be his trainer or his agent or whoever it might be, saying that the reason why he wasn't participating in the drills was because he needed to rest after the championship game, even though there were plenty of LSU Tigers, plenty of Clemson Tigers, all participating this past weekend at the NFL Combine. Daniel comes in. The more QBs that go early in round one, the better for the Bills. It pushes players at other positions down towards the Bills. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Daniel asked me to talk about Chase Claypool, and believe me, I think we can all agree that Chase Claypool was probably the best receiver on this day for at the NFL Combine. Then you go down to Laviska Shenault Jr., another little bit of a disappointment here, and a concern that was a concern even before the Combine pops its ugly head up, and that's that injury concern that you get with Laviska Shenault. Now, I know a lot of mock drafts have us getting Shenault, who is 6'1", out of Colorado, in the first round. Guys, I'm not going to lie, with this injury history, he's beginning to concern me a little bit, and I'm sure he's concerning a lot of you guys too. I just don't know if I want to go after Laviska Shenault. I mean, at this point, I would almost rather go after a Justin Jefferson type out of LSU before I'd go after Shenault, who just, again, gets injured around the 40 the first time, doesn't put up a good score. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? Glad to see you in here. Dan says he agrees with me on Higgins. Man, sounds like a plus. Absolutely, it did. It just made. And again, if he says, "Oh, he tweaked his hamstring," okay, no problem. You tweaked your hamstring. You're not injured seriously, but you don't want to risk it. I understand that, right? I mean, you talk about the second round, Chase Young saying he's going to sit out because he has nothing to prove. Okay, fine. That's fine. He has a point. You're probably right. You have nothing to prove at this point. You have proven you're one of the top receivers in the combine or in this draft class. Just say, hey, I just don't want to. I just don't want to. Fine. Just say you're resting because you played a month ago or whatever it was. Just doesn't make you sound all that tough. So I agree with Daniel there. Hey, Anthony, glad that you made it in here. Again, guys, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel. I really do appreciate it. So going down the wide receiver prospect pool list and we talked about Shenault, we talked about T. Higgins. A guy that really, really impressed was Justin Jefferson out of LSU. Justin Jefferson had a great 40 time, really had good range of motion when you're talking about catching almost everything that was thrown his way. A good catch radius they showed at the NFL Combine. So I really liked what Justin Jefferson had to contribute to the combine. And guys, I've seen mock drafts now that have Justin Jefferson going all the way up in the first round. I don't know if he's worth the 22nd overall pick right now. I really don't. I'm going to be very interested to see his pro day. And oh yeah, to go back to T. Higgins, what school did Justin Jefferson play for? LSU. Who did you guys play against in the national championship game? Oh yeah, that's right, LSU. And he showed out, right? You could have had a chance, T. Higgins, to come out. If you would have showed out like Justin Jefferson does, you might be arguing with the best wide receiver in this draft class. You might get that type of argument from scouts, from teams. You just miss out on those opportunities for a payday. But you know what? It's your payday. So who am I to argue with you there? And again, you want to talk about someone who had a great combine, Chase Claypool. Everyone's talking high about Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame. Another 6'4" guy. And like I said, I want those tall guys, right? You look at this draft class. I'm going to go by and name all the 6'4" or taller wide receivers. You got T. Higgins out of Clemson, of course, in there at 6'4". And Denzel Mims was another guy out of Baylor, had a great combine. He's sitting there at 6'3", so wouldn't mind picking him up either. You have Antonio Gandy Golden. Remember, Antonio Gandy Golden had a great Senior Bowl week, right? Great Senior Bowl week. He did all right at the combine. He didn't do anything to disappoint you. He didn't do anything to kind of wow you either. But that's a name that's interesting to me. AGG, Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty, standing there at 6'4". I think that's a sneaky name that people should be looking out for come the draft day. Isaiah Hodges out of Oregon State. He's 6'4". Michael Pittman Jr., same thing. Senior Bowl had a great week. His name's really kind of died down in that wide receiver conversation. He didn't do anything terrible at the NFL Combine. He just did not do anything to impress. And then again, standing there at 6'4", Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame. Those are some of those taller wide receivers that I would love to get. And some of these guys are later round picks. I mean, you talk about double dipping, you get one of the top wide receivers in this draft. And then late day 2, early day 3, look at Chase Claypool at Notre Dame and say, hey, this is the kind of guy that we want to get in here and possibly add some size to the Buffalo Bills wide receiving room. So that's always something to look forward to on day 1 of the NFL Combine. I like Denzel Mims. Absolutely, Dan. I thought he had a great time. Do you see the player that at the Combine that ran a 4.22? It looked like he injured himself, or maybe it was just a cramp. Looks similar to an Achilles injury. Well, he is going to have surgery. You're talking about Chenault, right? So if you're talking about Chenault, I can give you the update on him. Recently, Ian Rapport reported that he will undergo surgery on Tuesday, which already should have happened, to repair a core muscle injury. It just says core muscle injury. A lot of times they'll use that. It's kind of like in hockey when you hear of an upper body injury. They really don't go into detail. He dealt with it during the 2019 season, and it came back up at the NFL Combine. His timetable for recovery is 6 to 8 weeks, so it really comes at a bad time for Laviska Shenault, because that means he probably won't be able to, he won't be able to participate in his pro day, and that's the last we'll see of Shenault prior to the NFL Combine. What round do I think Claiborne and Mims go? I actually think Mims goes late day 2. I'm talking about round 3 possibly. I think Claypool will be shortly there behind him, maybe day 4. Remember, guys, everyone was excited about these wide receivers last year. If you would have told me that Seattle would have gotten, I forget his name on the top of my head, Metcalf. If you would have told me that Seattle would have gotten DK Metcalf with the last pick in the second round, I would have said, we're crazy. I would have said, there's no way he's making it that long. And look what happened. I think that this wide receiver class has a lot more depth than last year. I'm not saying that doesn't. But at the same time, I think teams are going to realize that they can pick up these wide receivers later. And so they're going to hold off a little bit as well. You might see a fury of them go late day 2, early day 3. And I think that's when you'll see Mims. And that's when I think you'll see Claypool go in the NFL draft. But that is just my opinion. I know a lot of people are higher on Mims than I am. I like Mims out Baylor. He could have late first round, early second round talent. And again, it depends how they show up at the pro day too. Going into the NFL Combine, there was talk about Claypool becoming a tight end instead of a wide receiver. But if he continues to put up the numbers that he put up at the NFL Combine, you cannot deny that he has wide receiver numbers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those two guys. But I think, yeah, late day 2, round 3, possibly early day 4, round 4, I think that's where you can expect to see those two guys go. And what a great pickup it would be for the Buffalo Bills if they could double dip in that way. There's I meant day 3, round 4. I apologize. I get that all mixed up, but thanks for the correction, Daniel. Yeah, so they're going to go late day 2, which would be round 3, because remember, day 2 is rounds 2 and 3, or early day 3, which would be round 4. Maybe if you're lucky, round 5. I don't think they're going to make it that long, though. I think it's going to be early day 4 at the latest for both of those guys. So again, that's the wide receiver group that participated at the NFL Combine on Thursday. And then you go into the tight end group. And I know a lot of people aren't talking about tight ends for Buffalo, and I understand that. We picked up 2 tight ends in the NFL draft last season. You're talking, of course, about Knox and Sweeney. Picking up Knox in the 3rd round, picking up Sweeney in the 7th round. I do not see the Buffalo Bills putting a high importance on tight ends, but at the same time, you look at the tight end room in Buffalo, not exactly going to blow you away, right? I mean, we all saw what happened when Greg Olsen became a free agent. He came to Buffalo for a visit. Buffalo fans freaked out. I wanted Greg Olsen for the right price. I think he signed for too much with Seattle, so I'm glad we didn't get him. But for the right price, I wanted Greg Olsen. Do you know why? Because that tight end room could use a little help. And what does that mean? That means we can't be afraid to look at the NFL draft for some help for the Buffalo Bills in that tight end room. So what are our tight ends looking like, right, in the NFL draft? Well, there's no real depth there. If you talk to anyone, and we when I posted the video about who the Buffalo Bills interviewed, I talked about Greg Tomset's coverage from Cover 1. He did a great job, so make sure to check that out. John Ross ran a 4.22 too easy and was limping right afterwards. Yeah, but then nothing came of it later either. Like John Ross well, of course, John Ross really hasn't done much in the NFL since then either as well. So, but you look at the tight ends, and I'm going to go through some of these names. And again, Greg Tomset from Cover 1 did a great job covering every day. So make sure you check them out if you haven't already. Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame, I think he has made himself the for sure number 1 tight end of this draft class. I would not be surprised to see Cole Kmet go late day 1, early day 2 in round 2 for whoever gets him. I think he's done a great job. He did well at Notre Dame. Talking about a 6'6" tight end who really can get the job done. Great out of the catching the ball, great blocking out of the back when running backs. For running backs, I should say. I need to calm down sometimes. Sometimes I just need to slow down. But Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame, I think he's going to be your number 1 tight end. I do not expect the Buffalo Bills to be in that conversation. But then you go down to like a Jared Pinkney out of Vanderbilt. He could be a big help at 6'4" to this Buffalo Bills team. Because remember, again, you talk about size at the wide receiver position. Dawson Knox is 6'5", our tallest receiving threat. Maybe this is where we think about getting some more size for Josh Allen and those Buffalo Bills. And I've said it here before, and I will continue to say it. I believe that the best offensive team the New England Patriots had was when they had Gronk and Hernandez on the same team. Just a mismatch nightmare. You double team one if you want to. You create mismatches already on the outside, and you still have a tough tight end to cover depending who you left open. So Daniel says Greg does a great job. For sure, he absolutely does. So either way, I think that's when New England had their best offensive teams, when they had those two guys. It had nothing to do, I know 7, they had Randy Moss, right, which helped the explosion on the outside, of course, but I think Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski were the wheels that made that offense turn at certain points during their Super Bowl runs. So getting a great pass-catching tight end would not be a terrible thing for the Buffalo Bills. Now, we don't know what we have in Tommy Sweeney. He didn't play a lot last year, so maybe he can come into his own and possibly be a good tight end for Josh Allen. We also know there are still going to be some tight ends that hit the free agent market. We just heard the Packers tight end is going to be a free agent. So there are going to be some free agent options, probably pretty cheap at the tight end position. But then I say that and I think, well, if the tight end position in the draft doesn't have that much depth, those free agents are going to know that, and they're going to ask for a little more money. If you want a quality tight end, knowing that there's not a lot of quality in this draft for tight ends, not like there was last year, right? When you talk about Noah Fant, when you talk about Hockenson, you talk about some of those tight ends, Dawson Knox even, that went last year. They had big depth last year, and it's the exact opposite this year. Obviously, a name that stood out for a lot of people in this draft or in this at the NFL Combine was Thaddeus Moss out of LSU. 6'2", 250 pounds, a shorter tight end, but he can get the job done, did a great job at the NFL Combine. So you look forward to seeing someone like him coming out at the NFL Draft. See where someone like him goes at the end of the NFL Draft. I think I'll see him on day 3, but he can definitely wind up with the Buffalo Bills. You talk about Adam Troutman out of Dayton. He had a great combine, so he helped himself out, standing at 6'5". So the tight end room, even though there's not a lot of depth, I would not be surprised to see the Buffalo Bills possibly get a tight end in one of the later rounds, because again, you look at the Buffalo Bills tight end room, and right now there's nothing that scares you. Maybe if you're Dawson Knox, you still scare some of those Cincinnati Bengals players who are probably still having nightmares trying to still get the cobwebs out from when you rolled them week 3 of last season. But other than Dawson Knox, no one really stood out. If you're looking to get an offensive penalty, you got to put Lee Smith in there. I don't expect to see Lee Smith as part of this team next year. I don't expect to see someone, Tyler Kroft, right? Tyler Kroft, we got him, high hopes for him, was injured for more than half the season because of a foot injury and some other injuries along the way. So will we see him in a Buffalo Bills uniform next year? All these questions you have to ask yourself, and all these questions are going to be answered, whether it be free agency, which starts March 18th. And guys, again, last year, I made sure to cover every single Buffalo Bills free agent signing. Plan to do the same exact thing this year. So if you're not subscribed to Billievers Talk, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Daniel comes in and says they think Sweeney can develop into a good number 2 tight end. And if the coaching staff sees that, and if the coaching staff knows that, and they let the front office know, that's great. I have no problems with that, because then that means we have another draft pick to spend somewhere else, or we have another draft pick, we have more draft capital to trade to move up in the NFL draft, or whatever in later rounds. I don't want to move up in round 1. I do not want to trade up in round 1. Let me know in the comment section, do you want to trade up in round 1 to get one of these star wide receivers? Do you want to stay where you're at? Or do you want the Buffalo Bills to consider moving back? Maybe even get more second-round picks, get a plethora of second-round picks, and then you have more picks to choose from. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you rather us trade up, stay where we are, or move on back a little bit and pick up more draft capital? Maybe get more draft capital the following year, maybe even get more second-round picks, bundle a first and a fifth for 2 or 3 second-round picks. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see the Buffalo Bills go tight end day 3 of this NFL draft, even though they did pick up 2 tight ends last year. But again, if the coaching staff knows they can rely on Tommy Sweeney, they hopefully will tell the front office that, and then the front office will act accordingly, and I think we'll be okay. Juan Castillo says, get Chase Young. Move up and get Chase Young. First of all, what I would love out of that, trade up to number 1, Juan Castillo. First of all, it would take an awful lot. Remember when Washington traded with the Rams, or was it the other way around? The Rams traded with Washington. No, Washington traded with the Rams to get RG3. They had to give up 3 years of first-round draft picks for that. I just don't know if I'm willing to give all that up. I really don't know if I'm willing to give all that up. But I will say this: if the Bills move up in this year's NFL draft, in my opinion, I do not want it to be for wide receiver. And I'm going to do an episode on why I don't think and why I don't want the Buffalo Bills to draft up. So I'm not going to give it all away right here, but that's just my opinion. I do not want the Buffalo Bills to move up to get a wide receiver. Daniel comes in and says, Bean has traded up in round 1 3 times in 2 drafts. Expect it, but perhaps not for wide receiver, maybe a defensive end. I would not be disappointed with that as much as I would be if they trade up for wide receiver. But again, guys, thank you for joining me on Billievers Talk. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Smash that like button, whatever people say, to get you to hit that like button. It's a simple click away. Just get the thumbs up button and click, and it really helps out the channel. So let's move on to day 2 of this NFL Combine, okay? The NFL Scouting Combine was last week. Let's move on to day 2, where we saw the offensive line Yeah, the price to move up to date to number 2 overall would be crippling. I absolutely agree with you, Daniel. I want to see them get the most bang for the buck, says Rich. Well, I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but we'll see what they decide to do, obviously, on NFL Draft Day. But we're going to move on to day 2 of the NFL Draft. And in day 2, we saw the offensive line, both offensive tackles, offensive guards, and the centers, and the running backs participate in day 2. I think we also saw special teams as well. This is where we saw that punter who bench pressed 25 times, did better than all but one of the offensive linemen for the day. So congratulations to him. Definitely making some noise out there for the punters of this world. And again, the Bills could definitely look to add a punter in the 6th round or so in this year's NFL draft. As Daniel said earlier, it's going to be tough for those 6th rounders that the Buffalo Bills pick up to make the team. So if they get a punter here, might make it a little bit easier, less competition, if you would, for the punters to make it onto this Buffalo Bills team. I see the punters that are on this list, and none of them speak to me because I don't pay attention to punters all that much when I'm watching college football. I don't know if you guys do, but you got Brandon Mann, Michael Turk, Joseph Charlton. I think I'm not even sure which one of those guys was the one who did the bench press, but those are the guys you got in the punting game. Would you guys look at potentially replacing Stephen Hauschka this offseason? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know, would you possibly consider replacing Stephen Hauschka? Remember, we had some problems with him last year. But at the end of the season, he really started to come on strong, right? Including that wild-card playoff loss to the Houston Texans, where he kicked 4 field goals, I believe, on 4 for 4 in field goals. I mean, not bad, right? And then he had the extra point as well. 4 for 4 on field goals. I don't think he missed against the Jets. I don't think he missed against the Patriots the week before that. I think he finished off pretty strong. So would you consider replacing Stephen Hauschka in the NFL draft when you're looking at some of these guys? Blankenship from Georgia is a name that rings a bell just because Georgia is normally doing well. J.J. Molson from UCLA, he had a good year. But those are the only 2 guys, the guys on the kickers that really I ever heard of. So let me know if you would consider getting rid of or trying to replace Stephen Hauschka. So we move to the running back position. We'll get to the offensive line in a second because, guys, I don't know how many people are talking about the offensive line, but I think the Bills definitely need to still address the offensive line. So we'll talk about that in a second. So we move to the running back position. And, guys, we did just hear yesterday that Frank Gore plans on sticking around. But remember, he is an unrestricted free agent. So that means as of March 18th, unless we re-sign Frank Gore, our running back room looks like this: Devin Singletary, TJ Yeldon. That's pretty much it. Christian Wade becomes an unrestricted free agent next year. Frank Gore becomes an unrestricted free agent next year. So you look at the running back room and you say, who is going to help out Devin Singletary? Do you trust TJ Yeldon? See, the problem with TJ Yeldon, which many people have addressed, I might consider it, says Dan, about doubt being well. Again, Stephen Hauschka ended his season strong, so we'll see how he does in camp. They brought in a kicker from Penn State last year, and everyone knew Stephen Hauschka had the job. So they'll probably bring in a kicker either way. And I think McLaughlin got booted from team to team to team to team. Was with St. Fran for a little bit. That's what helped him lose that Monday night game against Seattle that one time. Yep. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a kicker in another kicker, a number 2 kicker at Buffalo Bills training camp. So I expect to see a kicking competition at least there. If not, it extends past that. It doesn't sound like a priority to trade the kicker. I'm not talking about trading him. I'm talking about downright cutting him. Bringing in another kicker and cutting the one that you have. I know Stephen Hauschka is a household name, and most people know who he is with his time at Seattle, with his time in Buffalo. But again, if his time is coming past, his time's coming past. You can't really do much else about it. So we'll see what happens. But let's talk about the running back room just for a minute. Now, if you saw one of Todd McShay's mock drafts, he actually had the Buffalo Bills picking up DeAndre Swift with their 22nd overall pick, adding to that running back room. I cannot see this happening. I honestly can't. I cannot see the Buffalo Bills pick up DeAndre Swift. Not saying I don't like DeAndre Swift. Not saying I think that he's not a great running back. He is. But you just handed the running back room to Devin Singletary. When he replaced Frank Gore as the starting running back last year, that was you saying, we believe that you can be the running back of the future for this team. If you pick up a running back in the first round, Then you move Devin Singletary back to the 2 guy, right? He's the number 2. You cannot pick up DeAndre Swift in the first round of the NFL draft, and I don't think he's making it to the Bills pick in the second round unless the Bills move up in the second round. But you can't do that and then say, oh yeah, you're second fiddle to Devin Singletary. He's not going to be okay with that, right? Now, he'll be happy to be in the NFL, but DeAndre Swift can be a starting running back on any team in the NFL. So I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to go there when you talk about, oh, and Christian Wade, thank you. JSB Graphics, completely forgot about Christian Wade. Wade is a restricted free agent this year. No, the Bills can keep Christian Wade on the roster. He signed a futures contract, so basically the Bills have that option to keep Christian Wade. He's not even a restricted free agent. The Bills have him under contract, so the Bills can choose to cut him or they can keep him. We probably won't know that until that August 31st cut deadline. He's going to be on the 90-man roster, and if the Buffalo Bills coaching staff, again, said the same thing about Tommy Sweeney, we'll say the same thing here. And to be honest, in the wide receiver room, we could say the same thing about Duke Williams as well. If the coaching staff trusts these guys, if they trust Duke Williams, if they trust Tommy Sweeney, if they trust Duke Williams, if they trust Christian Wade, then they're not going to make it as big of a priority as we think they will. But yeah, no, JSB, we do get to keep Christian Wade as long as we want to keep him. He's under contract, so he is added to that running back room, and that's a name that people, including myself just now, keep on forgetting. Now remember, he did have a good preseason last year, but you still have to wonder, is he catching on the way the coaching staff would want him to? Christian Wade, for those of you who don't know, who are new to the Bills fan base, I'm excited to see Wade this year. We will all be seeing him in preseason, at least. But Christian Wade was part of the international program last year, and so he was the Bills' 11th practice squad player. Every team in the division had an 11th practice squad player due to the international exemption, and so Christian Wade had a decent preseason, if not all around a good preseason last year for the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people excited at Bills Mafia about Christian Wade. Comes from a rugby background, so he knows a little bit about the sport, as far as, you know, a lot of the same things that apply to your athletic ability in rugby would apply in football as well, especially at the running back position. A little bit older since he did play rugby for so long already, but in his mid-30s, you're still not sure what you're going to get out of him. But he will be an interesting add-on to the roster if he makes the 53-man roster. Unlike last year, we don't have that 11th roster spot for him, so we need to decide if we want to keep him, or if we can choose to put him on the practice squad, but then he has the same rules as everyone else on the practice squad, where if a team wants to bring him in and put him on their active roster, they can do that. So again, Christian Wade doesn't have that blanket of protection with the Buffalo Bills this year, but if the Buffalo Bills want to keep him, they do have him under contract. So we'll see what happens with Christian Wade as well. But we continue to look at this running back room. So if Christian Wade is someone that the Buffalo Bills coaching staff feels like they can trust, that they can use next year as a running back 3 behind Singletary, Yeldon, and then Wade, then I don't think they are as concerned about the running back room as, let's say, some Buffalo Bills analysts are, myself, some others as well. I definitely don't see the Buffalo Bills picking up DeAndre Swift, so I want to take that off the board. Again, maybe if DeAndre Swift's there with our second-round pick, which I don't see happening. I see him being a late first-round, early second-round pick, but if he's there with our second-round pick, maybe the talent is just too good to pass up on at that point, and we do take a DeAndre Swift-type talent. But I am looking down this list, and I'm seeing some names that might be interesting. We know that we spoke with Cam Akers at the NFL Combine. We only spoke with one running back in a formal meeting at the NFL Combine, and that was Cam Akers out of Florida State. So that would be an interesting pickup. He had a good combine. He had good results at the NFL Combine. Everyone was speaking highly about what he did at the NFL Combine. So we'll continue to keep an eye on him. As we know, Buffalo likes to visit these guys when they have their training days, so it'll be interesting to see their pro days. Interesting to see if we go out to Florida State's pro day to see what Cam Akers has there, and then we'll see what happens on draft day. Right now, I think Cam Akers is projected as a third-round, maybe fourth-round draft pick. Definitely might be worth it at that point to pick up a Cam Akers, a young guy, maybe sit behind TJ Yeldon for a year, but then you got a young running back room that's pretty much contract control with those rookie contracts, and then you can decide to do what you want to do with them after that. But maybe a third, fourth round draft pick. Wade is 29, says Daniel. Maybe I meant late 20s, not late 30s. Tell you in a second. But I thought he was in his 30s, but I could be wrong. You might have already fact checked me, but I'll tell you right now. Christian Wade will be 29 next season. Yeah, May 15th is his birthday, currently 28. So my apologies. He is 29, so he's getting close to that 30 number. So I meant late 20s. I think they go run back in free agency and maybe a day 3 pick. Yeah, I'm thinking a day 3 pick, and that's why I would expect to see somebody like a Cam Akers, which is why we visited with him if we like him. Maybe sneak back up into the 3rd round like we did to get Dawson Knox last year. Sneak back into that 3rd round to get Cam Akers. Obviously, we have the draft capital to pull off moves like that. So we'll see what happens, but we did meet with Cam Akers for that formal meeting at the NFL Combine, and then he had a good Combine showing. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, you have Anthony McFarland out of Maryland. You have Keshawn. McFarland had, from what a lot of people are saying, a pretty bad NFL Combine, so hopefully he does better at Maryland's Pro Day. Keshawn Vaughn, Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU is another name that I hear being tossed around a little bit. Junior, 5'7", 207 pounds. So those are some of the guys you're looking at that the Buffalo Bills could potentially get in the NFL draft. Dan says, never doubt me, Joe. How many picks do we have in this year's NFL draft? Rich G, I will tell you that the Buffalo Bills have 9 draft picks this year. Now, unfortunately, due to the fact that we do not know where the compensatory picks fall into place as of yet, we don't know where the Buffalo Bills draft in all the rounds. What I can tell you is their first round pick is selection is 22nd, their second is 54th, their third is 86th. So after that, you get to those compensatory picks. So we're not exactly sure where they're going to be. But what I can tell you is that out of the 9 picks, we have all of our first 4-round original picks, right? Now we have 2 first rounds and 2 fifth rounds and 3 sixth round picks. So you'd love to see 3 first round picks like the Dolphins have, but we unfortunately don't have that. We just have the 1 first round, but we have 3 sixth round picks. So 9 picks overall: 1 first, 1 second, 1 third, 1 fourth, 2 fifth, 3 sixth. We do not have a 7th round pick that was traded to the Cleveland Browns for Corey Coleman last season when we had to get some quick Band-Aid help for our defensive backs. So 9 draft picks, probably not going to use all of them, probably going to trade up a couple times like we did last year. So we will see what happened. I hear Epineza might go first round for us, defensive end. We will get to the defensive ends. That's actually going to be day 3. I know a lot of people are interested in him. 1 in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 picks in round. Yep. So Daniel broke it down for you as well right there. Tom Chuck will draft Swift, aka Chiefs and 49ers copycat league. Gotta have 2 running backs. So you do see teams like Baltimore, teams like San Fran, teams like Kansas City who have some different things in the backfield that they can bring out, right? And that definitely changes the game a little bit. I just think how many needs do we have? I don't think DeAndre Swift is the best option with our first round pick. Again, maybe if he's around early round 2, you see if you can sneak up there and get him. But I'm just not sure. I think there are some running back needy teams that might pick him up. I think there are some good running backs later in this draft that we can pick up, including Cam Akers, maybe even J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. Some good running backs later that you can pick up. Don't necessarily have to spend a first round or even a second round pick on the running back position. So let's move on to offensive line. We didn't talk about the offensive line yet on day 2 of the NFL Combine. Obviously, there's lots to talk about there. Again, I don't know why a lot of people don't think the Buffalo Bills need offensive line. I really think this is a position of need for the Buffalo Bills, especially the offensive guard position. But again, the Buffalo Bills offensive line, according to PFF, had the 21st offensive line last season. So obviously that was better than 2 years ago. But we can still do better than that, right? We can still do better than 21st. Let's get a top 15 offensive line. Let's give Josh Allen a couple more seconds or milliseconds or whatever it might be. Some people might think that Josh Allen holds on to the ball too long, and that's possible. But you can blame a lot of things for that, right? You can blame the line for that. You can blame him having to scramble around to save his life. You can blame the wide receivers for that. We don't have any tall wide receivers, so he doesn't know who to throw it to if they don't get open on their breaks. which, let's be honest, you just look at Cole Beasley, he's always open. Thanks for breaking down. How much longer till the draft? The draft is the second to last weekend in April. I believe that's the 23rd, maybe the 24th. So you have about a month and a half yet for the NFL draft. Is April 23rd to 25th. See, I doubt myself, Daniel. It's not just you. I doubt myself, and I shouldn't. But it starts Thursday, April 23rd. So you have a little bit more than a month and a half until the NFL draft live from Las Vegas. And like I said, guys, I probably will not be live here on Believers Talk for the NFL draft, but I'll be around. I'll be around. You might be able to catch me on another YouTube channel, see what I'm up to for the NFL draft. But no matter what I do, you know I'm going to let you know about it right here on Believers Talk. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to have a lot of fun either way. Drafting offensive tackle, can play offensive tackle or be moved to offensive guard. Well, that's what you could say about Cody Ford right now, right? If we draft an offensive tackle, you can move Cody Ford to offensive guard. Now, I've been on record here of saying since you put Cody Ford at offensive tackle, I feel like you made your own bed, right? You stuck yourself in a corner. Hopefully, it's not a bad corner. Hopefully, Cody Ford continues to improve at the offensive tackle position. But he would definitely not be the first offensive tackle to move into guard in his NFL career. So we'll see what happens. But as we look at these offensive linemen, I'm going to tell you who analysts said had a good combine. One guy that stood out, I think, for everybody was Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Had a great combine, man. I would love to pick him up. In fact, this is one of the guys right here where if we traded up, he's the type of guy I'd want to get. Not a wide receiver. I would want to get Wirfs from Iowa. I think he had a great combine. I think that he has a lot of potential to be a Pro Bowl type player in the NFL. So that's the type of guy that I would be looking forward to if we did trade up. But again, I don't think he's going to be there at 22. If we stay at 22, I don't think we're looking at a guy like a Tristan Wirfs. I think if we're lucky, we're talking about Josh Jones, Isaiah Wilson. So possibly wait till that second round because they'll probably be available in that second round to pick them up. But again, Wirfs was someone who had a nice combine. I think that as I look at my notes here, you look at Hakeem Adeniji from Kansas. He had a good combine as well. Ezra Cleveland was someone that I definitely wanted to stress on. Ezra Cleveland out of Boise State. He had a good combine showing as well. So really expect to see him start to move up some draft boards. And again, he's in the top 100 draft category, but someone that you could definitely pick up late day 2, early day 3 at the NFL draft. So that's someone I'd be looking at there, an Ezra Cleveland type player who can, potentially move to either guard or tackle. Because we all know how much our boy Coach McDermott loves that versatility. He loves that V word, right? And we've seen it with a lot of his picks. We've seen it with a lot of the free agents that have come to Buffalo. He loves versatility, and I think that that's something that you get out of an Ezra Cleveland out of Boise State. But there's a lot of good offensive tackles, but other than the top 2, I don't think there's any great offensive tackles. I like Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, and I like Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. But after that, man, I just think that these are day 2, day 3 type prospects. I don't think there's anyone there who I'm willing to go out on 22 and say, man, we really need to have that guy. I do like Lucas Niang out of TCU. I like some of these other guys. Trey Adams out of Washington. Get him maybe late day 2. You like Jack Driscoll out of Auburn. These are some good quality offensive linemen. I think that they can be quality offensive linemen in the NFL. But I think you look at a Tristan Wirfs or a Jedrick Wills Jr., and you're talking about some Pro Bowl type players, in my opinion, some future Pro Bowl type players. Truth to Hearts is in here. Welcome to Billievers Talk, man. Glad to see you in here. Drafting a lineman won't fix our problems. Josh Allen has to get rid of the ball. He holds the ball too long because wide receivers are not separating consistently. I mean, I would agree with you when it comes to John Brown. I would agree with you when it comes to some other receivers. I just think that if that was the case, I just look at Cole Beasley and say, no, Cole Beasley's always open. We've heard Dak Prescott say it. We've heard Tony Romo say it. And we've heard Josh Allen say it. And if you feel that comfortable with the guy, you need to look at him more often. If your first or second read isn't there, you need to look at Cole Beasley. And maybe that's something that happens this offseason. Picked up Cole Beasley last year, and I think that maybe this year they'll get some of that chemistry down even more so, and so he knows where to go. And maybe a taller wide receiver will help with that too. Someone who doesn't get lost in the shuffle. You see a tall guy out there, 6'4", 6'6" in some cases. Throw the ball to them. Pick up a jump ball. Throw a backdoor a fade, right? Back shoulder fade is the word I was looking for. To one of your taller receivers, maybe get a pass interference call. Who knows? We really don't have the wide receivers right now to do something like that. You have Dawson Knox at the tight end position, but maybe get someone on the outside. But you know, when you talk about a quarterback holding onto the ball too long, it could be one of 3 or 4 different things. It could be the offensive line not giving pressure time to set his feet, right? Defensive line gets pressure on you. You need to be able to make a quick decision. A lot of times when Josh Allen's forced to make a quick decision, he would find himself running around a little bit, find himself holding on the ball maybe a little bit too long. Your quarterback just needs to have better timing with his wide receivers. Definitely could be a problem. And then just length when it comes to the wide receivers definitely could also be a problem. So those 3 problems, and of course the 4th one would just be the quarterback mechanics. Quarterback mechanics, you can work on stuff like that. So those are the 4 main problems when you're talking about a quarterback holding on to the ball too long. So hopefully those are things that can be adjusted. Those are things that we can work for, look for. And again, when Brian Daboll went to the booth, I feel like Josh Allen did a lot better. So hopefully that means that continues. We continue to see that type of improvement. But I would love to see Josh Allen continue to work with John Brown and Cole Beasley this offseason and get those timing patterns down just a little bit more. And remember, open in Wyoming or open in the NFL is now opening in Wyoming is, right? Wyoming, your wide receivers had a lot more space to move around, right? In the NFL, open is, you have to throw it when the break starts. You cannot wait. And we've seen that from Josh Allen. To Truth to Heart's point, we've seen that with Josh Allen where he doesn't wait. He waits after the wide receiver breaks to see if he's open. And then it's almost like it needs a second to register that, yeah, he's open, and then he throws the ball. No, in the NFL, you throw it when the wide receiver is breaking. When the wide receiver starts his break is when you throw the ball. And that should be there when the wide receiver turns around, and then he can, Josh Allen, one of the big knocks on Josh Allen also when it comes to passing the ball is he doesn't throw to his wide receivers to get yards after catch. He doesn't throw to them for yak yards. He just throws to them for the completion, which is fine. Obviously, you want the completion, but he needs to throw his wide receivers open, and then the wide receivers can make plays with their legs. That's why they're your playmakers, so they can make plays. Tom Brady is one of the masters at throwing 2-yard passes and getting 15 yards on his stat sheet because of it. Edelman did a great job with that. No matter if you like the guy or hate the guy, Edelman was awesome at catching a 2-3-yard pass and getting 15 yards every time. Every time. And we know how frustrating it was. He did it to us twice a year, or 2 games a year. I think Smoking Beasley would kill next year. I really hope so, especially if we get another weapon on the outside. I think that would be a dangerous combination. Dawson Knox standing there on the inside. And guys, remember, Dawson Knox comes from Ole Miss in a system that's nothing like what he sees now with Brian Daboll. Dawson Knox comes from Ole Miss where you have Brown and Metcalf there. He's not getting as many targets. I think you're going to see some big improvements from Knox this year as well. And I think that's going to do only good things for Josh Allen's confidence on the field and for those wide receivers that we talk about as well. So I really look forward to the potential of this offense next season. Again, just need to continue to work with those guys, continue to get that timing down. And I think we're going to have a good thing next season. Anthony comes in and says, if we take Justin Jefferson, do we go 4 wide because Jefferson and Beasley are both slot guys? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about getting short guys. I'm not sure how I want to handle that. We saw what happened with Zay Jones when we tried to put him in at number 2. It just didn't work. Just did not work, right? And we saw what happened with Zay Jones getting traded. And that's why I want to get a tall guy. That answers that question for you, Anthony. That's why I want to get a guy like a Chase Claypool. That's why I want to get a guy like Higgins, 6'4". I'm looking at 6'4". I'm looking at 6'3", 6'4", something like that, where we don't need to have 2 slot guys all the time. Now, I do like the idea of 2 slot guys every once in a while, the 4 wides, the 5 wides. I love that type of play. I love opening things up. But you still want to have a tall guy who can get open downfield. And again, I think Justin Jefferson, staying at 6'1", he's taller than 6 foot. taller than 6 foot, which is more than we can say than we can for Cole Beasley. But again, I don't like the idea of having all four wide sets, especially a team like the Buffalo Bills, who are always going to be a run first team. Come November, come December in Buffalo, you're going to need to run the ball. So they're always going to be a run first team. But if we get Justin Jefferson second, third round, I think that he'd be a great addition to this team. And I'm sure if we get him, Brian Dable will have a game plan to utilize him to his strengths. And I thought Justin Jefferson had a great combine, great showing, and I think that he will help this Buffalo Bills offense if the Bills pick him up. Another thing I want to talk about, and I'll talk about this in a future episode when we talk further about the NFL draft, is as Bills fans, we're so used to someone like Doug Whaley coming in and screwing it up. We're talking about the 2014 NFL draft when we trade up to get Sammy Watkins, lose our 2015 first round draft pick. And you're talking about 2014 draft that was deep, the deepest draft. This is the deepest draft since then in wide receivers. Deep in wide receivers when you had Odell Beckham, you had Mike Evans, you had Jarvis Landry, you had some really good. Calvin Benjamin was part of that draft class. Some really good wide receivers, and we trade up, we give away draft picks. What I'm trying to say is, I think after the past 2 years or maybe even 3 years at the NFL draft, I feel like this front office, this coaching staff has proven that they are a little bit better at this than the previous regimes, and so we should give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, right? So would I be happy if we got Justin Jefferson? Do I think that's what the Bills need? No, I don't. I think the Bills need a length. But I'm not going to be upset if we get Justin Jefferson because I believe in this front office. I believe in this coaching staff. I believe they did their homework. And since they get paid more than I do, I believe that they're making the right decisions for this team, for this team's future. And I'm going to trust them a little bit. I'm not going into draft day panicking. We don't need the QB of the future anymore. Check, we got him. And by the way, out of the quarterbacks of that 2018 NFL draft class, I think Josh Allen is one of the best, if not, he's behind the guy from Baltimore, Jackson, right? I think we got the guy better than Baker Mayfield. I think we got the guy better than Sam Darnold. I think we definitely got a guy better than Josh Rosen, at least at this point in their careers, right? So you can argue that Josh Allen is only behind Lamar Jackson as far as the 2018 NFL draft class when it comes to quarterbacks. So they did a pretty good job. I think their worst pick in the 3 years would probably be Zay Jones, trading up to get him in the second round. But it's going to work out okay. Other than that, it's been working out all right for the Buffalo Bills. James comes in and says Mims equals Molds and Claypool equals Owens. I'm not going to start putting the Owens name around there. Owens is third in the NFL all time, second in the NFL all time in receptions behind Jerry Rice. So I would love to get Chase Claypool. I would love to get Mims, but I'm not going to make those comparisons just yet. But imagine getting both of them. Imagine getting both of them, and they do have careers like Eric Molds and Terrell Owens will be set for a long time. Don't get too sad on a big wide receiver. Get a wide receiver who's a playmaker. Some of these tall wide receivers can be playmakers. And you want to have tall wide receivers when you talk about the red zone. I want playmakers, but I want playmakers that can get into the end zone. Cole Beasley, he set a new career benchmark for touchdowns this past year. So great. Let's open up the middle of the field for Cole Beasley. Well, how do we do that? Let's get the safeties moved to those tall guys when we're in the red zone. We had problems in the red zone this past season. The Buffalo Bills, even though they started out hot in the red zone, definitely cooled down towards the end of the season and finished mid-pack in red zone to touchdown percentage. I want that to rise. I want that to be a top 5% type stat for the Buffalo Bills. And one of the reasons why it was down that far was because we had no length. And that includes not bringing Duke Williams in sooner from the practice squad. That includes not trying to feed Dawson Knox a little bit more in the red zone. That includes maybe running Josh Allen a little bit too much once we got into the red zone. I'm just saying we do need playmakers, but I feel like we have the playmakers. We just need someone to take the pressure off the playmakers now and be a target in the red zone. Whaley was GM for the Zay Jones trade, but McDermott was calling the shots, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, I think everyone agrees with you there. I mean, because if you remember, Whaley gets fired the next day. So I think since he got fired, I feel like the front office for the Buffalo Bills has done a great job. And I think that we give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. We have to, in this draft, I'm going to sit back a little bit they trade up, I'll be like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. If they trade up for wide receiver, I'm going to have some questions. Believe me, I'm going to have some questions, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they trade down, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they know what they're doing, what's best for the longevity, the long-term success of the Buffalo Bills. Because remember, guys, the AFC East is now wide open. AFC East is now wide open, and the Buffalo Bills have a shot this year. And I'm going to be disappointed with anything less than winning the AFC East championship. I'm going to be disappointed with anything less than being AFC East champs this season. Remember, guys, I was expecting us to maybe go 9-7 this past season. I said all season long we're ahead of schedule. Well, for me, this was the year set for the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC East. When McDermott got the job, this was the year set for the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC East, and I'll be disappointed with anything less. Obviously, injuries dictate that a lot too. Josh Allen gets hurt week 2. My opinion of the season changes, but I believe this team. I believe, and you guys are my believers. I believe that this team has what it takes to win the AFC East. Truth to Heart writes, I'm willing to bet the Bills will surprise us all. I think they're going to get aggressive because McDermott said they liked someone, but they knew they were going to go before our pick. It's very possible. Very possible they get aggressive. Very possible make some draft day trades because they see that window too. They see the window too and they realize, hey, the AFC East, it looks like we have a chance. And no more Tom Brady potentially, even though I'm not believing the rumors. Until he's gone, he's a Patriot, okay? Until I see the writing on the wall that he signed with another team, Tom Brady's a Patriot, okay? So that's my feelings going into it this season. But even if Tom Brady's a Patriot, we can beat that team. And we know we can beat that team. Anthony comes in. Tackle could be a legitimate option in the first round if we don't re-sign Spain and decide to move forward inside. I feel like we wanted to move forward inside, but Nsekhe couldn't stay healthy. Yeah, I think Nseke's gone. And so I think we need to address the tackle position either way. But definitely a possibility that we move forward to that guard position. Now, the great thing is having a guy like Feliciano who can be a versatile guy either at guard, at tackle, even at center at times if you need him there. I think that's a huge pickup. I think people underestimate that pickup still to this day of getting a Feliciano on the Buffalo Bills. Les Mistress comes in and says, if our defense and offense were switched as far as talent levels go, the last few seasons, would the Bills Mafia be calling for Leslie Frazier to be fired like some of us have been with Brian Dable? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the bread and butter of this team, when it's good, is the defense. Even go back to the 90s. You're talking about Bruce Smith, Phil Hansen, right? You're talking about some big names on that defense. Conley. You're talking about some big names on that defense. The defense was the rule the roost, so to speak, back in those days, right? Now, even when you talk about the 1990s teams, Doug Flutie, that defense had a lot to do with that team's success. A lot to do with that team's success. And now you look at this team now, and you realize that the defense, third this year, third last year, first in passing defense last year. Yeah, I think that if Leslie Frazier or if the talent was on the offensive side of the ball and not the defensive side of the ball, I don't think that the Buffalo Bills Mafia would be calling for Leslie Frazier's head anymore. I think Leslie Frazier would be gone already. That's why I think what would happen. Because again, I think the Buffalo Bills, in order to be a good team, in order to be an AFC East contending team, they need to have a standout defense. It all starts with the defense in Buffalo. I'm not saying this is the case in all teams, but in Buffalo it starts with that defense. And then it helps that offense, right? It gives that offense continual opportunities for success. And I think that's the key for victory for the Buffalo Bills. So to answer your question, Les, I think that if the roles were reversed in coaching staffs or in units, I think Leslie Frazier would already be gone. That's my honest opinion. Juan Castillo comes in. Welcome, Juan. Glad to see you. I'd rather him stay so we can be the team that finally wins the division over TB12. You know what? I remember seeing Greg Thompson from Cover One put this on Twitter. And guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, link will be in the description below after the live feed's over. But it's twitter.com/Billievers Talk. Not that hard. Follow me on Twitter. Trying to keep you up to date on there as well. But a lot of great content. So make sure you follow me there. But anyhow, I remember he said it's not going to make the division win taste any less sweet if Tom Brady's there, if he's not. Win the AFC East is all that matters to me. I don't care how we do it. I don't care how we do it. I never want to see someone get hurt. Yeah, I'll show it. I'm glad you put the F and not the full word because YouTube asked me if I wanted to show it. I'll show it. They shouldn't be slept on. I don't know. It really depends how they handle the 3 first-round draft picks. With the talent this team, the Miami Dolphins have now, they can't really be contenders. But really depends what they do with their 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, that's a lot of draft picks. But if you don't even get Tua out of the deal, it makes it a little tougher to sell me that they could be competitive next year. I just really don't know if they'll be competitive next year. I think they are maybe 2 or 3 years away. I think that they could definitely be like a 6-10, 7-9 team this coming season, but I don't think they're going to contend for an AFC East title. I think they can easily split with the Bills. I think they could easily split with the Jets. I think they could easily split with the Patriots. But I just don't think they have enough to contend for the AFC East this season. Don't know if that means I'm sleeping on them. They do got a lot of cap space. They do. I understand all of that, but I'm not sure I'm saying I'm sleeping on them. But at the same time, I'm not saying that they have a chance to win the AFC East. Daniel comes in. The fish will be squished 2 times next year and the year after. I really hope so. I really hope that we have what it takes. Remember, I mean, you go back to the Jim Kelly, Dan Marino days. Those are some of the best days in both Bills and Dolphins franchise histories. I would love to go back to those days where the Bills-Dolphins rivalry was the rivalry of the AFC East again. I've always said this during the Patriots' little run here over the past 20 years. The team I've liked the least, even though I have a lot of Dolphins friends that are fans of the Dolphins. I got a lot of friends who are Dolphins fans. I don't know what I say sometimes. But I think the team I like the least in the NFL. I think the team. I mean, there were times where I wanted the Patriots lose more than the Dolphins, but anytime the Dolphins can win and help out the Bills, I'm still gonna be cheering for the Dolphins. If that's the case, I cheer. My 2 favorite teams are the Buffalo Bills and anyone who helps the Buffalo Bills. Those are my 2 favorite teams. And my least favorite teams, the other 31 teams in the NFL. That's just how it is. Maybe I do dislike the 3 teams in our division a little bit more, but the way it works is I like the teams that can help the Bills the most, and other than that, it's all Buffalo Bills. That's all that matters to me. 3 first-rounders, man. Well, it's only nice if you do it right. All right, it's only nice if you get 3 good draft picks. I mean, this could set. I mean, everyone's talking about how good this could be for the Dolphins, and it absolutely can be. It absolutely can be. I don't disagree with you. But this could also set the Dolphins back for another 5 years if they don't hit right. If Tua is a complete bust. If Tua, and I hope Tua is healthy. I hope Tua doesn't have any issues in the NFL with his health. But if Tua comes out and he's a complete bust and he can't hack it in the NFL, and the Dolphins spent their number 5 overall pick on him. Now you have Josh Rosen and Tua, neither one of which you trust as your starter. What do you do then? What do you do next year or the year after? Because remember, Tua might sit out a whole season. So what do you do the year after? So it all depends if they hit on those 3 first-round draft picks. Les comes in and says it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins use all those picks. I completely agree with you. You got friends that are Dolphins. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a good time. Me and the Dolphins, we hang out all the time. Just the Dolphins, not the Miami Dolphins. I just go to the aquarium, go swim around. Juan, you know I don't understand what I'm saying half the time, so I don't expect other people to either. Anthony comes in. We've played the Dolphins well so far in McDermott. I think we're 5-1 against them, and if Clay didn't drop that pass, why the hell did you have to say that? Like, why the hell? We're here having a good time, joking around, talking about Dolphins in the aquarium, and then Anthony comes on. Hey guys, remember that time Charles Clay dropped that game-winning touchdown against the Dolphins in Miami? Remember that? What the hell, Anthony? Seriously, you're one of my favorites too. I don't know why you did that. Why would you do that? Why would someone be that crazy and do something like that? I don't understand. But guys, we do have to talk about day 3. We're an hour into the stream. I made it to 2 days. You know, I said that I would try to do 20 minutes of each day. And here we are an hour plus in. I made it through 2 days so far. Previously in here, I can't play fantasy football because I only pick Bills players. Same thing. same exact thing. Like, I would be sitting there doing my fantasy draft, and I'd be like, well, he plays against the Bills, so I can't pick him up. He plays against the Bills, so I can't pick. I'm not a fan of picking up a guy like a Tom Brady, for example, Tom Brady, and then going against Buffalo versus New England and saying, oh, I need Tom Brady to have a great day, and the Bills to still win. Like, no, I want Tom Brady to have 20 yards passing, if that, 3 interceptions, if not more, and just get decimated the whole game, right? Get sacked like 8 times. That's what I want to see from Tom Brady. I can't have him on my fantasy team. I can't have a fantasy team. Guys, when I was in high school, right out of high school, I was the type of guy, the max I had at one point was 22 fantasy teams. And I'm talking about money leagues too. Like, I had a lot of money wrapped into fantasy football, and I just had to stop. Because it was dangerous. It was dangerous there for a little bit. But then I put my energy into this, and I really enjoy this. I really enjoy you guys as well. It helped us get Ed Oliver for a reason. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Anthony. Absolutely true. Way to spin it. Way to spin it back around so that way, you could be my good graces again. I just hope our division is competitive. I love all the heart attacks the Bills give me. I love them when they turn out well. For 18 years, 19 years, I didn't love many of the things the Buffalo Bills were doing. But I love it when it turns out well, that's for sure. Man, and I still remember 2017. I mean, when Cincinnati ran in that touchdown against Baltimore. I mean, and you saw the locker room, you saw Kyle Williams get emotional. I mean, just think about now, I have to just stop myself from getting emotional. I don't know if I know how to handle winning, guys. And I love to win. But man, I just don't know if I know how to handle it sometimes because, man, it just makes my heart stop, man. It's fun. Ed Oliver was such an obvious pick for us at 9 and told everyone who'd listened that if he was there at 9, we wouldn't make it to 10. He wouldn't make it to 10. He was a great pickup, and I'm really looking forward to seeing his improvement this season as well. I don't know if there's an obvious pick for us at 22 this year, though. Not right now, but we'll see what happens on draft day. So let's talk about day 3. Day 3 was your defensive line and linebackers, 2 very key positions for the Buffalo Bills coming into the NFL draft. Oliver will get 12 plus sacks next season. You're talking about defensive player of the year, Juan Castillo, so be careful. Be careful. You want to talk about Josh Allen as offensive player of the year next year. You want to talk about Ed Oliver as defensive player of the year next year. Let's talk about it, but just be careful. Day 3, defensive line and linebackers. We need to talk about that just for, another hour. So obviously these are 2 key positions for the Buffalo Bills with the loss of Lorenzo Alexander to retirement. And we all know that the Buffalo Bills could use some extra edge rushers. If you didn't watch earlier today, Buffalo Fanatics did a episode of what they do, process or problem, I believe is what Rico calls it. But anyway, today they did the defensive and offensive lines. So make sure if you haven't already checked that out over on Buffalo Fanatics, you check that out after we're done hanging out here. Well, depending who you are, I've already seen it in this chat already today. If you think that we should draft to get up to number 2, or trade to get up to number 2 and get Chase Young out of Ohio State, then obviously, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. But if you don't want to give up our whole future for Chase Young, here are some potential defensive edge players that we could get in this year's NFL draft. Obviously, some people talked about earlier in the draft, you got AJ Epineza from Iowa. You have Kayvon Chaisson out of LSU. Some mock drafts have us getting Tor Gross Matos out of Penn State, Terrell Lewis out of Alabama, Curtis Weaver out of Boise State. A guy that I really like is Julian Aquara out of Notre Dame, Josh Ook from Michigan, who had a really good Senior Bowl and Senior Bowl week, and I wouldn't mind picking him up later if that's where we want to go with the edge. And another guy I like out of Utah who had another great time at the Senior Bowl, Bradley Anai out of Utah. Those are some of the names that I really liked in the Senior Bowl, that I really still like coming out of the NFL Combine. I can't remember his name at the moment, but Greg Thompson has sold me on the linebacker safety that he thinks will be a steal. I think we'll get to him in a second. I'll give you some names, and if I go past it, just let me know. Again, if there's anyone that you guys want me to cover in this video, just let me know in the comments section. we'll be happy to get to you guys. The comment section is going crazy right now, and I'm loving every second of it. But if there's a comment I'm missing and you want me to read it, hit that super chat button. It helps out the channel greatly, and I will be sure to give your comment precedence over all the other comments, and we'll make sure to go over whatever it is you want to go over. But again, it helps out the channel. I really do appreciate all the love and support that I've gotten throughout the years, and I can hope to continue to do this for a long time to come. So again, thank you guys. Thank you for believing with me. So day 3, we're going to talk about some of the edge rushers that maybe the Buffalo Bills are looking at, and we start with as I get to it. We start with K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. Guys, early draft projections had us getting K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU, and this is a guy that I'm a big fan of. As I look at my notes, and again, a guy who played at the highest level in college football in the SEC. Talk about K'Lavon Chaisson, 6'3", 254 pounds, listed as a 3rd best edge rusher this year in the NFL draft, behind Young and Epinesa from Iowa. The problem with AJ is I just don't think he's going to be around for the Buffalo Bills pick. I would love to see K'Lavon Chaisson there. But again, you talk about moving up. As I said earlier, I would not want to move up for wide receiver. Could the Buffalo Bills move up for a edge rusher? Who knows what we're going to do. Kyle Duggar, we'll talk about him in a second when we get to the linebackers, and Les points up and says that's him. I think Greg from Cover 1, when he talked about him, he has brought up a lot of great points. You talk about a guy who's played a lot of different positions on the defensive side of the ball, but we will talk about him in a second. So I do want to make sure we talk about these edge rushers. Some of them in the later rounds that could go, that the Buffalo Bills could pick up earlier. Again, some guys I really like. Julian Aquara from Notre Dame. Josh Ook from Michigan had a great Senior Bowl weekend. I would really love to see him in a Buffalo Bills uniform. Same thing with Bradley and I mean, the only thing I don't like about Josh is he went to Michigan, and I'm not a big Michigan fan. But if he does good for the Buffalo Bills, that's all that matters to me. I think Jonathan Grenard was someone who had a good combine. Let me look through my notes here real quick. It doesn't say anything about but I do like him as well at the edge position. So a couple good edge rushers in this year's NFL draft. I could definitely see us moving up, possibly to get Epinesa from Iowa, see what he does. But I really look at K'Lavon Chaisson and Gross Matos from Penn State and say those are 2 guys you might want to target, especially if you're looking in the 1st round for edge rushers. So now we get to the linebackers, and so Les, you can hold off for a second. And guys, if we're talking about linebackers, if we're talking about the NFL Combine, I think you do have to talk a little bit about Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. I think Isaiah Simmons had the best combine workout on day 3 out of all of the participants. Simmons did really well, ran a 4.39 40-yard dash time. He had an 11-foot broad jump, a 39-inch vertical. Those are all really good numbers for a linebacker. I know that we have Vosean Joseph, and guys, I am as excited as you guys are about Vosean Joseph and the possibility of him being our next, starting weak side linebacker, strong side linebacker. I forget which one at the current moment, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to give Vosean Joseph. But that doesn't mean we have to look past these young guys. That doesn't mean we have to look past all these guys that are coming out in the NFL draft. Now, will Simmons probably be gone by the time the Bills pick? Yes. Do I want the Bills to pick linebacker in the 1st round? Not necessarily. But when you talk about a guy in Isaiah Simmons who can really be a game changer, that's something that you would never mind seeing. You would never mind the Buffalo Bills going up to how much they have to give up for him. And again, a lot of it depends on, as Daniel said earlier, the quarterback position, right? A lot of quarterbacks score early. That means some of these guys are going to fall back. Some of these guys are going to fall back outside the top 10. And then if you're a Bills fan and you see Isaiah Simmons there, you're just thinking like 13, 14, he slips. And you're like, wait a second. Could we sneak up here, not give up a whole lot of draft capital? We're not moving up into the top 5. We'll have to get more 1st-round draft picks. And still get a talent like an Isaiah Simmons? I mean, that's something you have to look at and say, hey, maybe we could take that chance. But yeah, I think that's someone who is always going to be impressive to me is Isaiah Simmons. Whoever gets Isaiah Simmons really gets a good deal. I really like Akeem Davis Geither out of Appalachian State. I don't know, something about some of these smaller schools that I've always been a fan of. Now, Appalachian State has gotten a lot of credit ever since beating Michigan almost, actually, probably longer than a decade ago. But Appalachian State's still one of those smaller schools. I love seeing these guys coming out from these smaller schools, making a name for themselves in the NFL. So that's definitely someone that I look forward to. Guys, if you're just joining me, hit that thumbs up button. We've already covered days 1 and days 2, in the middle of covering day 3 right now. And so I want to continue with that. But yeah, so you want to talk about less truth to hearts. You want to talk about Kyle Duggar. Kyle Duggar, like I said, has done a great job as a collegiate athlete. And he's played multiple positions. As a pro at the collegiate level. So a guy who's played at the defensive back position, who's played safety, who's played linebacker. You're talking about someone, again, I'm talking about these small school kids, and you gotta bring up a Kyle Duggar from Lenore Ryan College, who ran a 4.49 40, had a 42-inch vertical jump, 134-inch broad jump. These are outstanding numbers, really are an outstanding numbers here. Want to go to his pro day, want to check out what he, or have the Bills go to his pro day. I would love to go to anyone's pro day, but go to his pro day, check out, see what he does at his pro day. Maybe start moving up some draft boards, because right now he's not that high up. He's not that highly coveted on the draft board when you talk about linebackers. So, or I'm sorry, when you talk about linebackers. So you want to see him move up. You want to see him do well, but at the same time, you're hoping the Bills can get him day 3 for a cheap. Use one of those 5th round picks for him. Maybe trade up a little bit earlier just to make sure that you get him. But that's definitely a guy you want to keep a look out on. You want to keep a look on him on his pro day. You want to see if the Bills bring him in for a private workout. That will really let you know if the Buffalo Bills are interested or not. Is if the Buffalo Bills bring him in for a workout. I feel like that will be kind of like the telltale sign that the Buffalo Bills are interested in Kyle Duggar. If Duggar is there early, mid-third, I'd trade up for him. He can play nickel, linebacker, safety, and we need a fast Swiss Army knife to try to match Lorenzo's wide skill set. Not sure we'll ever replace him, though. Well, remember, Lorenzo had a great skill set, but he was definitely losing a step when it came to coverage out of the backfield, right? When it came to covering running backs out of the backfield, came to even covering some tight ends in the NFL. I love Lorenzo Alexander, and I wish him well in retirement, but you talk about a guy in Kyle Duggar who can maybe make a move, right? Who can maybe improve that linebacker position. But again, you look at someone like Vosean Joseph, and you say this might be his time to shine as well. Don't forget about the skill set that Vosean Joseph has either. I think Vosean Joseph is going to be a great NFL player. I think he's going to be a great NFL linebacker, and that means I think he's going to be a great Buffalo Bill. So I look forward to that. Pierre Martinez comes in here. Welcome, Pierre. Glad you can make it onto the stream. This may be sacrilegious, but what can the Bills get if we trade Milano? He might be the odd man out in getting an extension. But at this point, I don't think you can get a lot from Milano. I mean, you're talking about a guy who just 2 years ago was coming off a pretty serious injury, had a good season. Listen, he's a really good linebacker. I love Milano. I would love to see him stay in Buffalo. Like you said, might be sacrilege. But at this point, maybe a 3rd round draft pick would be what you get for Matt Milano, which might be worth it. Because remember, we picked up Matt Milano in the 5th. You turn that around to a 3rd. Some people say, hey, that's a win, right? But remember, you do pick up Matt Milano in the 5th round. Had a really good season, but yeah, you might be right. When it comes to all these contract extensions, you might be looking at Matt Milano on the outside looking in, especially for some of these big name guys, Tremaine Edmonds. You know, if you have Vosean Joseph on a controlled salary, if you do pick up a linebacker in this year's draft and he turns out to be a pretty good linebacker, then you might have to consider Matt Milano as the odd man out. So, Pierre, I don't think you're 100% wrong there. There's going to be some big names in the near future that the Buffalo Bills are going to have to get rid of for one reason or another, whether they hit free agency and the Bills just can't afford them, or if they trade them because they know somewhere down the line they won't be able to afford them, so you might as well get some draft capital for them now. Both are understandable. So you do, Pierre, you hate to think about that, right? But at the same time, that's something you have to think about when you're talking about the Buffalo Bills and some of these great players. With success comes tough decisions, and unfortunately, Matt Milano might be one of those sacrifices that we have to make, even if we don't want to. Daniel comes in and says they're not going to trade Milano. They're going to extend him. Again, I hope so. I hope so. But again, we can't extend everybody. We can't extend everybody. We can't just throw money around, even though the new CBA might lend to think that you can. Remember, with the new CBA comes players wanting more money as well, especially talking about a 17-game season. Someone is not going to extend it. If O'Shawn Ball is out at linebacker, we can have Duggar play nickel because that was one of our shakier positions on defense last year. And we all know how much Coach McDermott loves running that big nickel package, right? Coach McDermott, now assistant head coach Leslie Frazier. We talked about yesterday on a live stream about his promotion, so you can check out that video as well if you haven't already. But yeah, you know how much I love learning that nickel package. You really like Duggar. I can see that. We'll see what happens to him on draft day. And again, he could possibly continue to fall too, and you could see him go in the 5th round, something like that. I think the Bills might again take a chance on him if it comes down to it. But we can't say. I watch the Louis T Network, and again, that's another plug. If you don't watch the Louis T Network, he does great draft coverage. And one thing he always says is, don't forget to watch the tape. Don't forget, don't get outshined by what they do in the combine. I know he did great at the NFL combine. I know that there's a lot to see on the highlight tape, but at the same time, go back and watch his full line of work. His full line of work before we just get too excited. Again, we know that he played nickel. And I haven't. I'm not saying this is in a good way or bad way. Maybe I look at his full line of work and I'll say, well, no, we should give him in the 2nd round and just stop with all the tomfoolery and just make sure that we get this guy. But let's look at his full body work and see if he can benefit the Buffalo Bills. And again, I trust this coaching staff. I trust this front office to do just that. How much would you be willing to pay Milano to keep him here? Listen, the linebacker position is a tough position to call for. You need a good linebacker, but if you're sitting there looking at Tremaine Edmonds and you're saying, he is the middle linebacker of the future, which you should be, then how much are you willing to pay for a guy like a Matt Milano? I can tell you that the franchise tag price for linebackers this season is $10.6 million. He's definitely not up to that amount. But if you look at some of the other tight ends, I'm sorry, other linebackers, I think I like maybe around 7, maybe 6 for a guy like a Matt Milano. But that's my opinion. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think about Matt Milano? What do you think he's worth to you at that linebacker position? That's where I'm putting him at for me personally. But I want to know what you guys think as well. What's going on here? There we go. Let me see. I'm gonna look at some linebacker numbers right now and tell you where I think he fits in there. So I'm gonna go over to Spot Track, guys. If you want to go to Spot Track, they give you a lot of salary information. So I'm gonna look at Spot Track and see where I would put him as far in the linebacker chain and what that linebacker is making. Do I think he's better than Mark Barron? Maybe Devin Kennard, something like that, and get Devin Kennard's in at $5.75 million. So yeah. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking he'd be at. Thomas Kennard, Devin Bush maybe, which is between $4 and $5 million. So that's why I have Milano at right now. I think Milano is far better than what it would cost, especially with Lorenzo Alexander. Welcome, Tim, to the stream. I think that we have a year to figure that out too. I think Milano doesn't need to be extended right now. I think right now our biggest extension has to be Tre'Davious White, which we heard Brandon Beane talk about just yesterday, and I talked about that in the live stream from yesterday as well. So I think one thing we have to worry about is how much money do we have to go around? How much money do we have to go around? That matters. We can't just keep throwing money around. Who do we want to extend? Again, there's going to be some tough decisions that have to be made, and Milano might be one of those guys that tough decisions made. Remember when Paul Posluszny was here, or maybe not even Paul Posluszny, let's not even go back that far. Kiko Alonso, when he was here, Buffalo loved Kiko. We loved Kiko Alonso. Then we traded him to Philadelphia. Yeah, his career never does anything after he leaves Buffalo. But remember that first year with Kiko, everyone loved Kiko. And so, just because he's good here doesn't mean he's going to be good somewhere else. And maybe he understands that as well. but maybe he wants a chance to be the star linebacker on a team. Right now, he's always going to be second fiddle to Tremaine Edmonds. Maybe he wants to be that star linebacker that he thinks he can be, and more power to him if he does, and more power to him if he can. But like I said, there are going to be some tough decisions for the Buffalo Bills to make as far as extending people, and he might be a casualty. So we move on to day 4 of the NFL draft, and day 4 was just this past Sunday, and that was our defensive backs, our safeties, and our corners. If there's one thing the Buffalo Bills might be looking for again, that's going to be that CB2 type position behind Tre'Davious White. And then we know that Poyer might need an extension as well. If we continue talking about extensions, that's another guy you can bring up is Jordan Poyer. Are we going to extend him, or is he going to be one of those tough casualties as well? So let's talk about the cornerback position for a second. One guy that really stood out to me at the NFL Combine is C.J. Henderson out of Florida, and he's going to be around that late first, early second round draft category. So do the Buffalo Bills look there possibly for a cornerback early in the NFL draft? C.J. Henderson, 6'1", 204 pounds, ran a 4.3940, tied for the third fastest among the defensive backs. 20 bench presses on the day as well. So definitely someone you want to keep your eye on when it comes to the NFL draft. But again, you know we need another cornerback behind Tre'Davious White. Why not look there? Jeff Gladney out of TCU. He is another name that I would keep an eye on as well. I'm just looking at some other guys who didn't have good days. Cameron Dantzler out of Mississippi State, Stanford Samuels, cornerback. They were listed as having not the best of days at the NFL Combine, which is not a day where you don't want to show up, is at the NFL Combine. So those are some names at the cornerback position that I would keep an eye on. Bassey from Wake Forest, they said he had a good day. Realistically, our team is full of second-string players, but they all got that dog in them because they got something to prove. That's not what happens when you come to Buffalo. No matter you get that dog, you get that culture, right? And so is it everyone being second-string players, or is that the culture that Coach McDermott is setting? Remember 2 years ago when the Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl, they went into playoffs with that underdog mentality, right? They felt like they were the underdog. They were the team that everyone was overlooking when everyone in the world was like, no, you're the Patriots. We're not overlooking you. But they truly believed they were the underdogs going into that postseason. So it's a culture thing, guys. That's the culture that Coach McDermott's bringing to Buffalo. He's saying, guys, get that dog in you. Get that fight in you. Remember last offseason, one of the things he said about this team is they needed to get tougher. They needed to get more dog. They needed to get more fight in them. That's one thing they preached early last season. That's what he's doing. He's creating that culture. It's fun to see. I really appreciate that out of these players, right? I really appreciate them having that fight in them and saying, you know what, you might have us down. You might knock us down, but we're going to get back up and fight harder and be the team that this city deserves. And they've done that this season. They've done that this past season. I think it's been great. Steve Hampton, do you think we use our 9 picks for 9 players, or do you expect us to use any to trade up anywhere? First of all, Steve, welcome to the channel. I don't know if you've commented before, but I'm glad to see you in here. So I actually don't think we're going to use all 9 draft picks. If you take a look at last year, the Bills traded up twice, right? We traded up to get Cody Ford, only moved up 2 spots, but definitely took another pick to do that. And then in the 3rd round, move up to get Dawson Knox. We get rid of both of our 4th round picks. That's the type of movement I expect to see again this year. Obviously, 2 years ago in 2018, there was a lot of movement, especially in that 1st round with Josh Allen, and then, of course, moving back up to get Tremaine Edmonds. So that's 2 years of Brandon Beane being a Buffalo Bills GM during the draft process, and that's 2 years of trade-ups to move up to get the players that he wants. So I expect to see the same thing this year. I would not be surprised if the Bills leave with 7 draft picks instead of 9, maybe even 6. Depends how aggressive they get. They could leave with 5. If they leave with 5, then you better believe that we were really aggressive in the NFL draft and we got some really good talent. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I expect to see the Buffalo Bills have maybe at max 7, at min 5 picks in this year's NFL draft. Alton Robinson in round 4 possibility. All possibilities. Truth to Heart says 13 million. He's definitely putting up the production for that. I'm guessing you're talking about Milano. Stu Splash, I want Milano to fly under the radar, and they're making it more difficult for them jerks. But they do a good job. They do a good job setting the market for players. So again, you have to give them credit. They do a great job, and that's why I use them for all of my contract information. I look at them for Buffalo Bills salary cap information, all that kind of stuff. Again, there's going to be some tough decisions coming up soon for the Buffalo Bills as far as who to keep. So you want to keep your eye on that. Some safeties that are worth looking into if you want to look at safety depth. Again, we know that Poyer is soon due for a contract extension if that's the way we want to go with him, or do we just let him go? We know that Hyde is almost, he has 2 years left on his deal, something like that. So maybe we want to look at the safety position. Maybe we want to look at Grant Delpit. Maybe we want to look at an Antoine Winfield Jr. on Minnesota. These are all possibilities here. These are guys that played pretty well or showed up pretty well at the NFL Combine. A name that was brought up earlier, obviously Kyle Duggar, who could play that nickel dime package that we know Coach McDermott, Leslie Frazier love to run. You got Terrell Burgess out of Utah. Some good names that can show up later in this NFL draft. We're talking about day 3 prospects when you talk about the 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds. Guys that the Bills can pick up. Guys that the Bills can have on pretty cheap, right? You're talking about those 9 draft picks, guys that may be able to make the team. Because, again, if we use all 9 draft picks, and I think Daniel spoke to this earlier, it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, for those 6th round picks to make the team, right? So why not trade up? Why not make it a little more difficult on the rest of the guys to make that 90-man roster? Make some big new moves in free agency. You got the money to do it, right? You got the money. You have the 4th most, I believe, salary cap space in the NFL. Make some big splash moves in the draft. Again, you have 9 picks. You can afford to do it. So let's see what happens. Get aggressive because now's your chance. Now's your chance to shine for this Buffalo Bills team. Again, you talk about a division that's wide open in the AFC East, and you see Tom Brady possibly going to another team. Again, I'm going to consider Tom Brady a Patriot until I see that he's already signed with another team. Until that time, he's a Patriot in my mind, and I won't think anything else. Steve Abner writes in, I think with RD style, you want more veteran savvy guys in the safety positions. I would agree with that, but at the same time, you want young guys to learn from those veteran guys before those veteran guys are gone, right? I'm not saying we don't extend Poyer. Let's extend Poyer. But then let's pick up one of these guys in the later rounds and say, hey, learn from 2 of the best in the game. Because right now, I believe we have the best 1-2 duo at free and strong safety in the league. Let me know if you agree in the comment section with a simple yes. Simply write yes if you agree that we have the best 1-2 free safety and strong safety duo in the NFL. I truly believe that. So who else would you want to learn from? Right, you're talking about 2 guys who, experts have said that it's easier to play zone and make it look like man, or man and look like zone when you have that. Because again, the offense always runs the same way. If you put a guy in motion and someone follows him, then you know the defense is playing man. If they don't follow him, then you know the defense is playing zone. Well, Poyer and Hyde are so good that they can work around that. That's how good they are together, and they can see things and have corners pick things up that they don't have to move. And so the offense is still a little confused as far as, is this a zone or is this a man defense? And that's what you need. So I see a couple yeses. Steve, Juan saying yes, this is the best duo, safety duo in the NFL. So don't you want a young draft pick who maybe who won't make the team, maybe he's on the practice squad, but you can learn from Poyer, learn from Hyde, and possibly have as good of an NFL career as these guys did. And I hate to say it, but you know what? Poyer has suffered a significant injury in his career, and I never want to see a player get injured, but does that make his chances of suffering another one higher? Now, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't, but you also want to make sure that you're covered on the back end. So to get a young guy now at safety, potentially, again, 4th, 5th round draft pick, get a young guy now, a guy that can spend a year or 2 sitting on the practice squad, learning from some of the best in the game, and then say, hey, when Poyer or Hyde are done, when they're no longer on the Bills, you got your spot. and you learn from one of the best in the game. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be ready to go at the snap. You shouldn't be ready to go the moment the Buffalo Bills, the moment Coach McDermott calls your name, the moment Coach Frazier calls your name, you should be like, all right, let's go. I learned. I'm ready to go. Put me in, Coach. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to go. Uh, Tim Allen comes in, yes, although I'll be sacrilegious and say I think we could lose Poyer and still potentially be the best. Want to keep Poyer. Absolutely want to keep Poyer. But again, as we talk about with Milano, a lot of tough decisions coming in Buffalo as far as who do we want to extend, who don't we want to extend when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. Again, guys, keep the chats coming. I'm really enjoying this, hitting an hour and 40 minutes here on this live stream. So again, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. If there's a comment you want me to read, go ahead and hit that super chat button. Again, it helps out the channel. I really do appreciate it as the comments keep coming. If you're just joining us, guys, we've already covered the NFL Combine. We're talking about days 1, 2, 3, and 4. If there's a name, if you missed our conversations earlier, or if you were here and I didn't talk about a name the way you wanted me to, leave it in the comment section. We'll happily talk about him as long as you want. Probably be on here. Maybe we'll be on it for another 20 minutes or so. So keep the comments coming. Love hanging out with you guys. They drafted Jaquan Johnson last year to develop, and that's a possibility. That's absolutely true. They did get Johnson last year. Johnson last year spent a lot of time on the practice squad, so he might be that guy. We might already have that guy, in which case, hey, we don't pick up a safety this year. Poyer could be the odd man out on extensions, absolutely. Like I said, there are going to be names. There are going to be names that we're going to see leave Buffalo that we don't want to see leave. We don't want to see leave, but that's what happens when you have a good team. That's what happens when you have to start signing these rookie deals, when you have to start extending some of these great players like a Trey White, who deserve every penny that they're going to get, like a Tremaine Edmonds, like a Ed Oliver when that time comes, like a Josh Allen. Those are going to be some tough decisions. Some tough decisions I'm glad I don't have to make. Josh still has to prove himself that he's our franchise guy. Absolutely agree with that. Truth to hearts, just because we love him don't mean he automatically is our guy. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I've sat on here before, and I'll say it until my face turns blue. Hopefully I don't have to. You can see that Josh Allen has the intangibles. He has the leadership capabilities to lead a team to any situation, away, home, snow, rain, neutral site, London, Egypt, doesn't matter, Australia, doesn't matter. He's going to lead this team. You know he has the intangibles to do so. But now he needs to continue to show that he can improve on the things he needs to improve on. Less turnovers for a consistency of a whole season, right? I love 2 interceptions in your last 10 games. Love that. I don't like 7 in your first 6 or whatever that number was. I don't like that. I don't like the fumbles. Even the fumbles that the Bills recover, don't like them. Why are you putting the ball on the ground? Period. If you put the ball on the ground, the other team has a chance to pick it up. So I never want to see that ball on the ground. Completion percentage. Talk about possibly getting a taller receiver. Talk about getting a running back like a TJ Yeldon who gets the ball out of the backfield, create more screen passes. All that is going to add up to your completion percentage, right? Let's get Josh Allen's completion percentage to about 65%. Let's make him, or let him make him, a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. A team that can lead this team to a Super Bowl. Again, we look at Josh Allen's stats from last season. I already broke it down for you in a previous video, so make sure you check it out. But you look at Josh Allen's stats from last season, not where they need to be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I went ahead and looked at the last 10 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, and I looked at their regular season stats, compared them to Josh Allen's. I think it was in a video about what Buffalo needs to do in order to consider themselves a Super Bowl contender next season. I'm pretty sure that's the video. But anyway, I went ahead and I looked at the last 10 winning quarterbacks, looked at their season stats. Josh Allen does not compare well to a lot of them, to most of them, if not all of them. I think Cam Newton and him were pretty close on a category or two. But you want to make sure that the touchdown to interception ratio goes up. You want to make sure that you are continuing to not turn the ball over and help with that completion percentage. Denny is secretly Mario's burner. Says Ace confirmed. Where's Danny? I'm not even seeing. Oh, Danny. Can Vic Beasley fill the void of Lauren? No, I don't. Oh gosh, yeah. Mario loves Vic Beasley. he can play a role. I think Vic Beasley is definitely a name you got to look at in free agency. In fact, we are going to talk about the linebackers in free agency in a future episode before free agency, which comes up March 18th. So you want to make sure you're looking out for that. But I do like Vic Beasley, and I think that that's definitely an option for the Buffalo Bills. I would love to see Brandon Beane make that phone call and potentially give Vic Beasley a shot. But I think from a leadership standpoint, Vic Beasley misses out, right? But you have to ask yourself, did Lorenzo Alexander pass those reins over to a Tremaine Edmonds type guy? So you don't need that leadership role anymore. You just need a guy who can cover, who can play at linebacker position, maybe blitz that C gap every once in a while and make things happen on that defensive side of the ball. I think Vic Beasley has the same athleticism and has the same skill set that a Lorenzo Alexander does. I just question if Vic Beasley come into a new team and be that leading guy that Lorenzo Alexander was. I don't think you're going to find a replacement for Lorenzo Alexander, just like I didn't think you could find a replacement for a Kyle Williams. If you ask me if Ed Oliver has more talent than Kyle Williams, I will say absolutely. If you ask me if Kyle Williams or if Ed Oliver replaced Kyle Williams in year one, I'm going to say no, not at all. I'm going to say Kyle Williams still had that step on him. It just comes with experience, with which Vic Beasley has, and comes with the trust of your teammates, which Vic Beasley will have to learn if he comes to the Buffalo Bills. Pierre says, thoughts on Cordy Glenn? He can split right tackle with Ty Nsekhe. Cordy Glenn? Do you mean Ford? By the way, either way, I think that he might be moving into guard. But is Cordy Glenn a free agent? Do you want to pick Cordy Glenn back up? I don't. But I think you mean Cody Ford. But let me check Cordy Glenn. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't want him, though. I'll tell you that much. No. He'll be a free agent next year, Cordy Glenn. So, no, I think you meant Cody Ford. Splitting time with Ty Nsekhe like he did this past season. I don't know. If you become a tackle in the draft, then you're very possibly talking about moving him into guard. Cody Ford, when he came out in the NFL draft, a lot of experts had him playing guard, and so it's possible that that's where he's going to be if we pick up a tackle in the draft. We'll see. A lot of drop balls are hurting stats. Also, McDermott said he'll be cut by the Bengals. Pierre says, no, I don't want to bring Cordy Glenn back. I really don't. Unless we could trade him and move up again, that'd be great. When he was at Buffalo, I remember some injury issues. I just don't want Cordy Glenn back. I want to continue to improve this team. But again, that's one of those moves where I'll trust the front office. Again, the front office has earned my trust. Where if they make a move I'm not sure about, maybe on a video that I'll do, because I'll do a video on it. I'll talk about my questioning of the move, but at the same time, I'll trust the front office to do the right thing. Cordy Glenn is back on the trade block, so we'll trade back for him. We send him to Cincinnati to move up in the NFL draft in 2018. We'll trade back for him in 2020 to bring him back to Buffalo. This is too good to be true. $80 million playoff team. Chiefs have like $13 million. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. When we first made the playoffs, I said that we were ahead of schedule because of all the playoff teams last year, we were the one that had the most salary cap coming into the season. So you gotta love that. And if you watch the previous episode, there's ways for the Buffalo Bills to get more cap room. You're talking about cutting a guy like a Trent Murphy, cutting some of these guys. Now, one of the guys I believe that was on there was Star Latuile. Obviously, with his restructuring of the contract, we're not going to cut him. But there are some guys that we can cut that really did not show us enough last year where I say, hey, we have to keep them. That could save us some money. Save us some money in the long run and help us use that money somewhere else. So, again, those are some things to look at. First Bills front office I've trusted in decades. Absolutely, and it's a great feeling. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this NFL draft. And again, I hope that I'm hanging out with you guys in some capacity. But I'm going to sit back, enjoy this NFL draft. And no matter what the move is, whether I question it or not, I'm going to say, you know what? I trust this front office. They did their homework. They did their research. They know what they need for long-term success of the Buffalo Bills, and that's all I want. Long-term success of this team. And I'm not talking about a dynasty like the Patriots just had, right? A 20-year run. I would love that. Don't get me wrong. Let's do that. But I'm talking about let's start with a 5-year run. 5-year run where we're in the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. And whether that started last year or not, I'm just saying 5-year run where we're in the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. When we're contending for AFC championships. When we're contending for Super Bowl appearances, maybe even a Super Bowl win or two. I would love that. Would really love that. Bills don't need more cap room. Ton players creates more holes to fill. But again, if those players are not living up to their contracts, again, think about Trent Murphy. If those players are not living up to their contracts, do you want to just keep them around? If you can fill that hole, let's say I can make for you $5 million in cap space. I'm just using this as an example, okay? Let's say I can save you $5 million in cap space. And I could pick up a player that fills that same position, and I could pick up a player for $3 million. And now we have $2 million, and he'll have the same success that the guy had that you were paying $5 million. You filled that hole, and you now have $2 million to spend somewhere else. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. So if you look at Trent Murphy's numbers right now, this coming season, Trent Murphy is due to make $9.7 million. Out of that $9.7 million, 1.75 of that is guaranteed. So you're talking about saving yourself $8 million. Is there no one currently that's going to be a free agent that's better than Trent Murphy that we can't get for $5 million and save ourselves $2 million? I absolutely think there is. So we don't need, Daniel, we don't need to cut anybody. It's not, again, I mean, I just went over the numbers. Trent Murphy's making $9.775 million next year. Is he that good of a player? I don't think so. I really don't think so. You look at, I'll give you some other numbers here in a second. Tyler Kroft. Tyler Kroft is due to make $6.4 million next year. 6.4 mil. We cut him, dead money 1.6. So you're talking about saving $4.8 million. Anyone who's willing to show up and put on a uniform and not get injured is better than Tyler Kroft was for us last year. I show up, put on a Bills uniform, and I start all 16 games, or at least I'm healthy for all 16 games. And I'll play for $1 million. I'll make it easy on you. Extra cap space means they cut later rather than sooner, which is true, like they did last year. Perhaps do like they did with the O-line, where they trade off players that they were going to cut. Anyway, possibilities. Again, it opens up creating this cap space. Remember 2 years ago we had so many cap space issues, so much dead cap money out there was ridiculous. But creating this open cap space, having a lot of cap space is beneficial in so many ways. Like you said, Tim, you can trade players that you were going to cut. You can wait a little bit longer than you normally would to decide what to do with these players, right? You can wait till the season to cut some of these players. It doesn't even matter. Jaguars might be looking to trade Ngakoue after tagging him. Would you ship Murphy off to Jacksonville as part of a deal for him? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd give him Murphy, Kroft, a second-round pick, maybe a first-round pick. But yeah, we'll see. I think Ngakoue it can be a game changer. I think Ngakoue would definitely help out this team more than a lot of these players do. Again, I'm looking to continue to improve this team. Continue improvement of this team. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking through the list right now and saying, who can we get rid of? And after the dead cap money, I still feel like we made out okay in that deal. One of those guys might be Steven Hauschka. $3 million due, only 1.25 towards the dead cap. I feel like there's kickers out there that will make 1.75 million who are better than what Steven Hauschka was last year. Just saying. So yeah, I think my favorite example of all this is Tyler Kroft, right? Tyler Kroft is due to make $6.4 million next year, but only costs us 1.6 in dead cap money. Tyler Kroft has some problems. He probably won't be playing under that contract. He probably will not be playing for the Buffalo Bills next season. Kevin comes in. Welcome, Kevin, to Believers Talk. I said we cut Murphy and get someone better that will bring more pressure on the quarterback. That's another thing you have to ask yourself. Then you have to give Yannick about $22 million per year. Yeah, that's another problem with Yannick. That's another problem with Yannick is how much it's going to cost you. Is he worth that much? That's a great question, Daniel. And obviously we can discuss that all night long as far as how much Yannick Ngakoue is actually worth. But yeah, thank you guys for all the comments. This has been a lot of fun with the Bills already probably losing Jordan Phillips and Shaq. Why would you get rid of another D lineman? But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. If you save yourself $6 million and you use that $6 million to help juice up the pot for Jordan Phillips or Shaq Lawson, could you do that? Could you do that? Dan, and Dan, I know we'll go back and forth on this a lot. Yeah, Ngakwe is going to be in the $20 million range. $20 million for sure. If you want to get Yannick Ngakwe, it's going to be a big price tag. Whoever gets him, it's going to be a big price tag, and that's probably why Jacksonville's going to franchise tag him, because they do not want to pay him that kind of money. But let's say you save yourself $4 or $5 million on Trent Murphy. You save yourself $4 million on Tyler Kroft, and then you use that money to keep Shaq Lawson, to keep Jordan Phillips, and then you still have $80 million to spend. I mean, I'm not saying that you always want to cut players. I'm not saying that you want a lot of dead cap money. We saw the issue that created 2 years ago. But I'm just thinking, like, if you can do that, who would you rather have? Who would you rather have on this team right now? And that's the cap money would stay the same, or about the same, roughly the same. Cap money stays maybe a little bit less. I don't know, but still, would you rather have Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson, and let's say somewhere between $5 and $10 million less in salary cap, or would you rather have Trent Murphy and Tyler Kroft? That's the question. That's the question you have to ask yourself. So I understand it. I get it. I get what you're saying, Daniel, about not wanting to cut players, not wanting to create the dead cap situation. That can become a problem. But again, and it's not the dead cap problem wouldn't be a problem because we only owe Tyler Kroft money next season. We only owe Trent Murphy money next season. It's not like it goes on, continues into further years. It would just be a 1 year thing. So, I don't have an issue with the Buffalo Bills cutting some players if that's what it takes to re-sign Jordan Phillips, to re-sign Shaq Lawson. I think that's all decisions that this front office has to make. I don't like guys who seem to perform their best in a contract year, says Steve Hampton. It happens all the time. Happens all the time with these players. They wait till it's a contract year. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know why they don't have that fight in them when it's not a contract year. But when you talk about someone's money, obviously they care a little bit more. I'm not sure about that. The question is, who would Beane and McDermott rather have? Absolutely. The Dolphins can't afford Yannick. Yeah, the Bills can't afford Yannick. It's just a matter if we want to. That's all that we have to ask ourselves. But again, guys, I thank you for joining me on this live edition of Believers Talk. Again, we went over some of the NFL Combine. I really enjoyed going over that with you all 4 days of the drills. Again, if you want more coverage of the NFL Combine, Greg Thompson did a great job over at Cover One, went live after every single day. Check him out. He did a great job. Other Bills channels out there that are absolutely amazing. Hashtag Sports, Buffalo Fanatics, Blindside Sports, Buffalo. They all do a great job. So make sure you're checking them out because, again, they just do wonderful work. And I know I'm missing one or two in there as well. But, again, check them out. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk. Again, if you're not subscribed to Believers Talk, guys, it's time to believe in our Buffalo Bills. So hit that subscribe button. Like this video, and after you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Go and keep you notified if the Bills get Yannick Ngakwe. I'm going to be right here giving you a video, letting you know what I think about the decision and giving you a chance to join the conversation. Let me know what you think of that decision as well. Been on here for a little bit less than 2 hours. I've enjoyed every single second of it. So again, thank you guys. Daniel comes in real quick. Last question. Beane hasn't made any offers to Phillips or Shaq. He hasn't cut Kroft or Murphy. What does that tell you? That tells me that they might be waiting until CBA, right? A lot of things to discuss with this CBA, and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. There could be a lot of things. Maybe Jordan Phillips wants to test the market. Remember what Brandon Beane said Senior Bowl week about how some of these guys want to see what their worth actually is before they start going down to the table and saying, hey, this is what I think I'm worth. This is the deal I'm willing to give for you. This is what the offer would be. And then Brandon Beane would make the offer based on that. So there are a lot of moving parts in that whole scenario. And as was mentioned earlier, we don't have to make those tough decisions when it comes to cuts yet. We have the salary cap to make the moves we want now and then decide on those cuts down the line. The cuts might not happen in March, might happen in August, but either way, it saves us money in the long run. Again, guys, thank you guys very much. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. Again, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I look forward to talking to you all soon. We'll have some more free agent videos out for you. So again, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. I'll talk to you all soon. Until I do.